certainly is a pleasure to have another opportunity to stand in this honourable House and speak to interim supply. And Mr. Speaker, I want to sort of change the course a little bit. I know we've been listening today, and we've heard some good debate back and forth, and government members, of course, are standing and they're defending the decisions that government has made, and that's what they're there to do. And I'm sure they're all very happy and pleased with investments they've seen in their district. I'm certainly pleased with investments I've seen in Mount Pearl. Nobody denies that, and we're all here to try to do the best we can for our district. And but, Mr. Speaker, we have a role on this side, of course, to point out areas, where perhaps we thought that things could be done a little differently, and to bring that forward to the public. And at the end of the day, it'll be up to the people of the various districts to decide whether they agree with what government is saying in terms of defending their record and the things they've invested in, or whether they agree with the opposition and the third party, about concerns they have about the way things were done. And the people will decide, and that's all part of democracy. That's what we're all here for. So I'm not going to. I can certainly talk about things that have happened in Mount Pearl, and very proud of my district and some of the great things happening. And I could also stand here and I could, challenge some of the things that have been said by the other side in terms of some of the investments. I can certainly challenge some of the commentary about the diversification of the economy and did that actually happen and so on. But that's not my intent here this afternoon to do that. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to take some time now. I've got about 8 minutes, and I want to speak about my critical role for Service NL. And, Mr. Speaker, this ties into a couple of questions that I asked in the House of Assembly today as it relates to the story which was in the media the last couple of days. I think it was the top story in a couple of the media outlets the last 2 days. And that, of course, is the food safety issue, the inspection issue, and so on at Memorial University. And, Mr. Chair, that certainly should be concerning for all members, regardless what side of the House that we're on. I would think that we would all be interested, I'm sure we are, I know we're all interested in ensuring that we have food safety, whether that be in private restaurants and so on, or whether that be in public institutions such as Memorial University. So I'm sure that every member in this House, when they read the news stories the last couple of days of what happened at the dining hall at Memorial University, when they heard stories about the fact that, there were claims, and certainly it was backed up by pictures and so on, of food being undercooked, severely undercooked, claims of food being moldy, rotten, and all of these things. I think there's one picture out there of a fly in the food, and all these other things that we've seen. And of course, there was a meeting, I think, last night at Memorial University, and it was reported that there was a number of what was described as horror stories about the food at Mon. Now, I wasn't there, and I hadn't experienced that, obviously, as I don't guess any of the other members were. So we can only go on what's being said and what's being reported, and pictures that are out there, and comments that are out there, and so on. And but it does lead us to ask the questions about, how long has this been going on? Is the food indeed safe for our students that are attending university? Students, I might add, again, according to what I've read, that are basically being forced into a particular meal plan and particular meals. They don't even have a choice. They're paying a fee, and here's what you're getting. Like it or not, if you don't like it, you can eat nothing, or I guess you can go get some takeout or whatever if you have the money, which most students don't. So I think it's concerning when you see this story, and we should all be concerned about that. Now, I understand that the health inspectors with the Department of Service NL have been involved since the story broke. I understand that the university has been in contact with the service provider, and they said that they're doing their due diligence, and I think there was a report there today, this afternoon, that came out saying that the health inspectors inspected the place today and it meets the standard and so on. So I can only take it for granted until I see the report, which the Minister has said that he will table in the House, he will provide, and I'm glad he's agreed to do that. But until I actually see that report, I suppose it remains to be seen, but we'll go by the fact that that's what's being reported. And if that's the case, I'm glad it's happening. But I have concern of how long has this been going on. If it were not for this incident going to the media, the social media and so on, how long has this been going on, and how many students' health has been potentially been put at risk? And that's why we need to understand how often the inspections have been occurring. Have they been occurring regularly as they're supposed to be done? When the inspection has been done, has there been follow-up? Are things getting done the way they should be done? That's why we've asked for the reports of that particular facility for the last 2 years to ensure that has indeed happened. Now, the concerning thing, though, is that really, if this incident had happened at a private restaurant, as of November 2012, I believe, was I think it was November 2012, the press release, and it's on the government site, that they started posting these health inspections for food facilities online for restaurants. But that only applies to private restaurants. So if I wanted to take my family out to a particular restaurant or establishment, I can go into the government's website and I can view the inspections. If there were any issue, when the inspections were done, what the issues were, if any, and what action was taken. And I can look at a history of it and determine if this is an ongoing problem, a systemic problem, versus a minor issue, if it was a major issue, and so on. And that's good, and we support that. The problem is, though, it doesn't apply to public facilities. So when we're talking about places like University, College of the North Atlantic, we're talking about hospitals. I mean, people go to hospital to get well. They go there because they have some sort of an ailment. They're sick. They're there to get better. And now we don't even know. It's not a priority for us to be able to go into the website like we could for a private restaurant and find out if that place that's serving food, if that's being done properly, if there was any issues, whether it be minor issues or major issues. What action has been taken? Is there anything that we need to be concerned about? And I'm not suggesting that inspections are not being done, but I'm going to be putting in a request to see that they are all being done. But I'm not suggesting they're not. I'm not questioning the competence of anybody, the inspectors in the department at all. I'm sure they do a great job. They're professional, they're highly trained, all that good stuff. But I am questioning whether or not it's being done, and the fact that we cannot go in to check to make sure that it's being done and to make sure that there's no issues. Because we can't have a situation where we have vulnerable people who are sick in a hospital, and now they got food coming up that, in theory, it's not being handled properly, and there could be germs and disease and God knows what else that could be passed on to those people. Similarly, we look at our schools. I mean, I'd like to know what's going on in the cafeteria in our schools.
Gym class.
Right now, I know. I'm glad my colleague mentioned that. I mean, we know gym class is going on. One thing we know for sure is that in many schools, gym class is going on in the cafeteria. We also know music class is going on in the cafeteria, and we know that a lot of kids are eating their lunch at their desk. But what's going on in the actual food preparation area that our kids are ordering off that menu? Hopefully, it's all being done properly, following the standards, and I'm sure most people try to do their very best when they're doing that. But things happen, sometimes beyond their control, sometimes it's management issues, sometimes it's resource issues, employee issues, could be whatever, and things can go wrong, and that's why we need to have inspections to make sure that our kids, that our seniors in our nursing homes, people in our hospitals, that if they're getting food in these public facilities, that the food is safe. So again, I'm going to call upon the Minister of Service NL to ensure now, he said he mentioned it today about putting it online. I think he should be directing it to be put online ASAP. Thank you, Mr. Chair.